Hello, makers, and happy December. Today, I am going to share with you this decor piece that I made with the new surprise die from Tim Holtz, Sizzix, and Simon Says Stamp. And it is this beautiful snowflake rosette. And when you look at the die, it kind of looks like it's going to be fairly small. So it's this little section. You do have to cut it 3 times, and then you're going to be folding it that accordion style, but you're going to be attaching it on these end pieces. And so you'll need to cut 3 of them and attach them together. And then there's this little circle to hold it together on the back, and the snowflake, which will adorn the front. Isn't that beautiful? So I really love this die. Now, this isn't a new style for Tim. A long time ago, Tim and Sizzix released a snowflake rosettes on these Sizzlits um, types of dies. And so I just want to show you there were 3 sizes. There was the large that had its own die, and then the small and medium had theirs. But if you look at the length of the December die and the old large snowflake, you can see the December snowflake's going to be even bigger than the large snowflake on the thinlits. Now I'm going to pair it with rock candy glitter, one of the sizes. I also have my grit paste snowfall, my snowflakes glitter, and then a couple of different colors of distress spritz that I'm going to be using with this snowflake rosette. Now to cut it out, I have the new Falling Snow Lightweight Cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And so this is a perfect weight for cutting out and assembling these rosettes. It comes in these 6 colors, and they're all 8.5 by 11, and it's $4.99 for the pack from Simon Says Stamp. And then I'm going to color those with a little bit of the spritz before I assemble them. Now I have this frame that I'm going to use as my base. I got this from Hobby Lobby's wood pile. It was less than $8. It has a little hanger on it already, and I love this rustic wood frame. I don't have to do anything to the frame. It's already ready to go. And then this background kind of looks like it's been painted and the paint's worn off over time, so it's a little distressed also. So I think it's going to be perfect for this project. This is what I'm using, so I'm inviting you to come along and let's get making. All right, so I'm starting off with my Snowfall Grit Paste, and I'm going to put it through some of these stencils. So this is the mini version of the Snowflakes stencil. It comes in mini set number 18, and you can see that there are a couple of different sizes of snowflakes on here. And then the exact same one in the regulation size is THS050. And again, it is called Snowflakes. And so I have both sizes of the same stencil. So it gives me several different options for different snowflakes that I'm going to go ahead and stencil across the background. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of the distressed glitter across the top of them. So here you can see me spreading some of that snowflake grit paste through the stencil, and I'm using the mini one right now. And then I have some of the glitter in the cap of the bottle, and I'm just sprinkling just a little bit on top of the wet grit paste. And then I continue to do that with several different sizes. And then I decided I want a little more sparkle. So I am going to put some drops of some of the collage medium here and there across the background in between all of those snowflakes. And so I did that all the way across the entire background. And then once I felt like I had some little bits all across there, I went ahead and sprinkled more Distress Rock Candy glitter all across so it would get on all of those little snowdrops. All right, so now I have cut all of that Falling Snow Lightweight cardstock in half, and I have my Distress Spritz, and I am spritzing the background of all of those. So that was, I started with the lightest gray and I sprayed tumbled glass on it. And then the medium one, I sprayed hickory smoke. That's the hickory smoke. And then this is the, um, oh gosh, weathered wood was that last one. And this is faded jeans. And then on all of the lighter colored ones, I decided that I didn't want anything dark, so I put Perfect Pearls in a spray bottle with some water. That's all that is. And I just sprayed the backgrounds with some Perfect Pearls with water, and water will help the Perfect Pearls set. You don't really need anything else for that. So that just gave all of those white and cream papers a bit of a shimmer. All right, now I'm going to cut my rosettes. And so I took those half sheets of paper and I cut them 2.5 by 5.5. And I ended up with 3 pieces, and that's what I need to cut each rosette. There was a little bit left over of each one, but you have just enough to cut each rosette, and then you have enough space on the end to cut one of the snowflakes and one of the circles out of each piece. So I have those set aside. Also, I have all of my pieces cut so that I can make as many snowflakes as I want. I also have my glue gun heating up so that I can assemble these when I'm done. And the reason that I know that I need to cut 3, I wanted to show this to you because this didn't come with directions, is that I counted the big points, and then I looked on my die and there are only 2 big points. And so since there are 6 on the snowflake, I knew that I needed to cut 3 of each die. All right, so when you get something that doesn't have directions, that's a good way to kind of try and figure some of the things out, looking at the picture, using any of the clues that you can, if, there aren't directions available. So all right, so I went through and I cut all 3 pieces, and I cut each of the circle and one of the snowflakes. And now I'm just poking out all the little detail pieces and getting those out of the way. And I have my positively glue ready, and I'm using the side of my cutting mat, and I am just bending over all of the scored areas on that snowflake die. And now I'm doing my accordion fold back and forth all the way across. And I think this takes the most time. It's not difficult. It just is something that you want to put something on the TV that you can just kind of do a bunch of these all at once so that, they're done um, for you. But yeah, it just takes a few minutes to get this folded back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you need to do that to all 3 pieces, which you can see that I fast forwarded through and I am done. And now I'm putting my positively glue on the end piece, the whole end piece, and I'm attaching it over the entire end piece of another one of those die cuts. Now I'm going to put glue all over the back of another whole end piece. And you can see that these are mountain folded on mine. And then there we go. Attach it all the way over on the other same matching piece on the third piece. And then you're going to wrap it around, and you're going to attach the last piece to the very first piece, and you will have a circle. I think the Positively Glue from Says Stamp is perfect for this. So I do have it linked below along with everything else that I'm using except for that um, frame. Okay, now I have them, all 3 of them attached together, and it dries very quickly. I didn't have to wait. You'll see that. So now I just press it down, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze some glue out onto my nonstick mat. And then I'm carefully lifting it over, and I'm setting that center right in the middle of that glue. And then I pulled it out a little bit and then pushed it back together so that that glue could get in between all of the little pieces there. And then you want it to start cooling. And so I kept kind of pushing it down just to make sure that it could cool. And while I'm still letting it cool a little bit, I used my positively glue and I stuck that little snowflake down into the center. And then I'm gently going to pull it off of my nonstick mat and add that circular piece with some glue onto the back for added stability. And that's all there is to putting your snowflake die together. All right, now I have cut out quite a few from all the different colors. I still have my glue gun ready and my positively glue together, and I am going to go ahead and manufacture a bunch of these snowflakes. And there we go. I have a bunch of them made. I don't know that I'll use them all, but I was happy to have all of them made. So now I'm going through on all the high points, and so I know I ended up working off camera a little bit there, but I just used my Distress Collage medium on all the high points of the snowflake, just went over it, just getting a little bit of glue there, and then right there in the center, used my finger to kind of spread it out all over on the front of that snowflake rosette, and then on the center. And then once I had done that, I sprinkled it with some of the snowflakes glitter mica mix. And so just wanted to get it all over the whole thing. And then you can gently pick it up and don't dump it like that, but gently pick it up and then just get some of the excess off. And there you have a wonderfully icy snowflake. Now, here I have more of the snowflakes and I have some Distress Resist. And I cut some mini greens from the Mini Holiday Greens die set from Tim Holtz and Sizzix. And I just sprayed over it with some Distress Resist spray. It can act like a glue. And so I put a nice coating of it on the greens and then I just sprinkled the snowflakes glitter and mica mix, and there you go. I have just some icy goodness on there. And now I have the background has dried and I am just glue gunning four. It ended up being the four fit the best. And so I did it kind of ombre style with the lightest and then that light gray, a little darker gray, and then the dark blue on the end. And I put them down the center of the frame. And then I glued some of the greenery in the center, and I did three of the big spruce pieces from the mini holiday greens, which was actually part of the December 2024, or the Christmas 2024 vault release, and it is still available. I've linked it below. And then I used this little tiny spruce piece that's also part of the same die set. And so I just hot glue gun those on there and don't worry about any of the rest of it. I did not show this part, but I die cut the piece word sentiment from also the Holiday Classics Vault release from 2024. And I cut that out. I colored it with chipped sapphire and sprayed it with faded jeans distress spritz. And then I glued it to a piece of white heavy stock and fussy cut around it. And then you just saw me put some foam tape on there and stick it in the middle of that greenery, and I was done. That took me less than 5 minutes to put the whole thing together. I did not speed this up. That was real time. So here is the finished piece. This really was one of the fastest decor pieces that I've put together. Really, the snowflake rosettes were the thing that took the longest, and once you get into the groove of making them, they really go together so quickly. And look at all the detail with all the little cutouts and the outside design. They're just really such a beautiful die. And then adding all of the sparkle from the wonderful glitters and distress snowfall grit paste and the mica flakes and all of that that are part of this year's release, distress release from Tim. It all goes together just so beautifully. Well, I want to thank you so much for following along with today's tutorial. And as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. If you would like any of the products that I used on today's project, I have linked them to the Simon Says Stamp store. So if you use my affiliate link, it will take you right there. You can make your purchase, and if you meet uh, the minimum, you will get that beautiful snowflake rosette die for free with purchase. Well, thanks again so much for watching. So appreciate it. And as always, I want to wish you a very creative day and, of course, a happy December.